my beautiful BBs. Today on the Comic Book Girl 19 AMA, I'm going to be answering some of your Twitter questions, like what's my favorite dinosaur? Have I watched Rick and Morty? What is the meaning of life? I got all the answers and more right now. Let's do it. Earth and Dust asks, what's your favorite dinosaur? And I have to say that the one I always find myself coming back to, and it's not even a dinosaur I really relate to personally, like it's not the type of dinosaur I think I would be if I was a dinosaur, but I've always had an affinity for the Stegosaurus, all right? I love that guy. I love his little fucking head and his like tail with these fucking spikes on it, but like I like that he's like this shape, you know, like, and he gets all fat in the middle, and then he has these fucking diamond plates that's like two rows of diamond plates like on the fucking back. I think that looks so sick. Like, it's such a bizarre looking creature. And I just think they're adorable and they have such tiny heads. It's like really, they just seem really chill, you know, like they gotta have all that armor because they're just so chill. And so people try to eat them all the time because they don't bother anybody. Their heads are too small for that. They just want to live. That tail, man. Oh, like, I wish I could go back in time and see a Stegosaurus fight some fucking predator and just smash that tail into someone's fucking skull, you know? Like, because you know that's epic. Like, you know that that is so fucking badass. Next question. Micah Jardee asks, do you watch Rick and Morty? I feel like it's perfect for you. And the answer is, Micah, hell yeah, I've watched Rick and Morty. I fucking love Rick and Morty, all right? I get swifty with it, okay? I am so down with that show. It is one of the best animated shows I've seen in so long. The first 2 seasons are fucking amazing. I'm so stoked for the 3rd season. And if you remember, I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but on April Fools, all right, Adult Swim did this thing where they were like, oh, haha, it's the first full episode of the new season of Rick and Morty, and everyone just like thinks it's the April Fool's thing. But really, they played it for like a day. Like, you could watch it, and it was just constantly streaming on this website. So you'd have to catch it. Like, sometimes you'd be in the middle of it, and you have to let it go, and then, like, catch the beginning of it. But I watched that. Like, I followed the link, and I watched it, and holy shit. I am so excited for season 3. Next question. 9 Circles asks, what do you think about LSD? Well, 9 Circles, I've done it. I've tried it. I've done it more than once, in fact. I enjoy psychedelics. I haven't done everything, obviously, but I've done a few things. And I feel like out of all the psychedelics I've experienced, LSD is the most electric. You know, I felt like it was very electric, the way it made me feel. And it really opened up my, just like all these like different ways of thinking about things. It was just like, it really is an experience. It's a really amazing experience, and I don't think it's necessarily for everyone. Some people are ready for it, some people aren't. You know, it just depends on where you're at as a person. But I feel like it's an experience that was very valuable for me personally, and I'm glad I did it, and I'm definitely going to do it again at some point. Would I want to do it all? Do I do it all the time? No. Like, it's like way too much. You know, like it's such a big experience for me that it's like it's a sacred thing. I try to do it during a time where I'm like, I need to figure out some shit, you know? Like, I don't use it for partying. I use it for spiritual advancement. And if I'm having like a difficult time, like one time I took it when I was like really upset about some shit and I needed to confront some of my inner demons. And I specifically took some acid to do just that. And I did. And that night, I had a really great experience. Like, I really worked out some shit. Me and Beans worked out some things. I worked out some things with myself. I remember when I was peaking, I went upstairs and I just, like, looked at myself in the mirror and I had a real conversation with myself, you know? And I was just, like, really had some really good realizations and, like, just was able to work through some issues I was having and become at peace with certain things. It's also visually very beautiful. People think, like, I hate how psychedelics are misrepresented in movies and cartoons and stuff like that, because it's always like, oh, you'll see the fucking, you know, carpet turn into a bunch of crabs and there'll be like a talking head over here. And I haven't had experiences like that. Not to say that maybe you can't see some shit that isn't there, but from what I've experienced so far, it's really just takes what's already there and like boosts things, you know, makes them a little wavier. Like, things get a little wavy, you know. There was one time where, this is when I did a little bit more, and I like couldn't sleep the rest of the night. It was a crazy experience, but I was sitting on this star in a mini golf course. And like, I was like sitting straight up and I just felt like the sun was behind me. This was the middle of the night. I felt like the sun was behind me. I kept seeing these like waves of light coming in from the side. And like, I felt like I was connected to the universe and that I had any answer. Like, I was just a fucking vessel. And if you asked me any question, I would have been able to just answer it for you. You know, I was just like, ask me questions. Because I've got a direct line right now. You know, I'm a fucking vessel. And that was a really fun experience. It's not for everybody, though. I mean, not to say that you couldn't have a tough time on it, but even if you do, it might be really good for you to just face that shit and deal with it, you know? I was recently watching an H.R. Giger documentary on Netflix called Dark Star, which I highly recommend. And in it, he was like, yeah, I did LSD. I did a lot of LSD, you know? Like, he was, like, that dude was totally on that shit. And, like, a lot of artists are. Not to say that they all are, but it does open up certain pathways in your brain that allow you to tap into certain creativities that you may not be able to tap into while sober.
This is coming from someplace else, and Giger is, you know, just the guy that this other world is kind of introducing themselves to us.
But that's not everybody, but it's a thing, all right? It's a thing. I don't know, psychedelic experiences are really good for your soul, you know? So you're just like, oh, I see, we're all connected, you know, it's one, okay, you know? And it makes you feel like, I feel like when I take psychedelics that it really, I always feel like, wow, like there's all these things around me that are there to help me, and like all these things speak to me, like, it's okay, you know? And you see them all, like you see the universe speaking to you, whereas when you're sober, you ignore it and you don't see it because you're in your own bullshit all the time. Next question, Chelsea West asks, some say the purpose of life is to love. Some say success. Some think the purpose is just to live. What do you think life is about? Well, Chelsea, personally, I believe that life is about having experiences. I think that we're spiritual beings here to have human experiences, and that our spark of consciousness that each of us have is like a part of a greater whole, okay? Like this like huge like monad, okay? Like that's like divine essence, okay? We have a little bit of the divine essence. And this divine essence, you know, is here so it can like experience itself, okay? So my job on this planet is to have experiences, and also not only that, it is to recognize my unique abilities and talents, because here's the thing. I believe that we all have a purpose. We all have unique talents and abilities, and we are living in a unique time that has never happened before. We are in the eternal now. And it is up to us, it is our purpose to uncover what those abilities and talents are and use those talents and abilities to help further the spiritual evolution of humanity and consciousness at large.